Well, hello, everybody. I am delighted to introduce you to the third episode of Design Review, the podcast for engineering your life. Today that we're recording is May 20th, 2025, and my guest, my friend Sara Shahmohammad, who is coming to us from Iran. And I am so delighted. Sara, welcome.
Hi, it's lovely to see you again. And third time, may the third time be the charm, and let us have a lot of fun.
Yeah, fun is definitely
It's a fun
part.
number.
Oh, it's great, and I have been looking forward to this call for before we even set it up. It's like,
Me too. I really like talking to you, and we've been through a lot of loops and time mismatches and reschedulings and me missing and
and food
forgetting
poisoning. You can't leave that
and
one
food poisoning a lot.
out. Yeah. So the thing is, this just illustrates something that I really believe in, and I know you do too. It's been one of the things that's been very comfortable, is that life's going to present how life's going to present.
Yeah.
And then we get to live and kind of surf on top of the waves that life gives us, and it's really our choice and our skill set how elegantly or inelegantly we do that surfing. I will not pretend that I surfed food poisoning elegantly at the time, but I can say, without this becoming my podcast about me, that I am better off in every possible way from having had that experience. I am better now than I was before I got sick.
Okay.
And I'm sorry,
You
that's my
posted
experience.
you posted on LinkedIn saying I had food poisoning and it took a lot out of me. And I laughed so much at that. And
You got the
bro,
joke. Yay.
yes, it was gross and so funny. But it was a gutsy joke. And then it went on to turn
Absolutely.
into ew.
Sorry you went
Excellent
there.
hook. Great hook. And then after that hook, you like get down into business, which if you want to talk about, but I really need to know what did you have? What did you
I
eat?
don't well, it's my best guess, and yeah, I'm already laughing so hard I'm crying. Um, my best guess, and the thing is, it doesn't matter. I might have just had a stomach flu, but I went to a GI doctor. They took labs. I haven't seen the results of the labs yet, but what I believe was the cause, because no other event I went to in the days before did anyone else get sick. But I went to Las Vegas to visit my brothers, which is this whole other discussion that was beautiful. You may have seen the post about the Bluebells of
Yeah,
Scotland and my trombone
also,
playing brother. Yeah, it was amazing. I went down there, and Thursday morning before I went home, we all had breakfast. We went to a wonderful Hawaiian themed breakfast place called Baby Cakes, which is a chain in at least in Las Vegas, and they serve great breakfasts of all kinds. And I had a veggie skillet and pancakes, and it was so good and so much that I said, I'm taking this home. And so I packed up all my stuff in this foam container and then drove 5 hours across the desert with my breakfast on my passenger seat, and then got home and put it in the refrigerator. And then the next morning I ate it all, which was Friday.
yeah.
Well, Saturday night, I did not sleep at all and was in a lot of pain and a whole bunch of stuff we probably don't need to share on this particular podcast. But yeah, and then, as seems to happen when something challenging happens in my life, I wrote about it because there was a huge epiphany, and you got some of that, which sort of brings us around to what this podcast is really
It was
all about.
beautiful.
This podcast is about life and life experience. It's about sharing. It's about going through pain and finding something, the light in it. And what we talk about could be some project you want to set up in life, like my lay ministry that I have, for example, it could be a topic that I would have embarked on, or it could be like, yeah, I just went through this and this is what I needed to do it. Um, in fact, one of the format I tend to follow in all of my posts is a format that we call in 12-step recovery experience, strength, and hope, which is this is something I went through. This is how I got through it. And then this is the light that it brings to me that I now have for my life. If you go back, almost every post I write has that format. And then it ends with a prayer, which usually looks like I'm wishing you peace or something like that. Giving away my formula. It's secret. No one else can use it. Actually, I hope lots of people use it. That brings us to today. So this is about you, even though I have lots that I'm sure I'll be able to share on what you bring up. What would you like to talk about? And if you can, give us enough of a background that we know what set it up, but I'm going to let you decide how you would like to introduce this. We can start at the beginning, the middle, or the end. It's your story.
Okay, that's lovely. Um, okay, I mean, I'm silent, but in the background there is like war happening. Like it's a laser gun.
Are
Everyone's
there lasers coming out
running.
of cats' eyes by chance? That would be even
There's a
better.
haunted house. Like if the camera could go into my eye and see the background, it would not be as tranquil. So
All right.
I'm
Well,
trying.
bring us share whatever comes up is exactly what needs to be here.
Yeah, and then there's a bunch of people making jokes about it all. There's a lot of different sounds. There's Elmo for some reason.
Elmo belongs in
There
almost
is a
all.
lot. And
I realize we are a little time limited for the purposes of the folks listening to this, but take your time. If it turns out we run grossly over time, this may become 2 episodes. That's okay.
no, I have there's a okay, here's the thing. A lot happened in my life in the past year and completely transformed me and everything I understand and everything I thought of about of everything. And it's been a lot, and it was my birthday recently, so
Oh, happy birthday.
there was a lot of reviewing all of that. Everything is so grand and I'm observing it all. And before we start, when I first opened this website that we are recording on, this is studio, it said we're rolling out the red carpet for you. And that kind of was, that made me giggle, thinking that's kind of what happens. That's kind of what the whole game works like, where there's a red carpet rolled out and you
Mm.
walk it as elegantly or inelegantly as you will. It's like those the kind of video games that like you're driving a car and you can see the scenery coming up. It didn't exist a second before, and then there is a tree, and then there's a tree after that as you go forward. So it's kind of been like that, and I've been driving the car. Not elegantly at all times, but I've been trying. And it's been fun. A lot of what happened in the past year that, okay, I was going to immigrate. I lost a lot of people. I lost a lot of relationships. I lost a lot of opportunities. And I gained so much that I cannot possibly measure or put into words. Everything just expanded, exploded. A big bang happened in my head.
Mm.
For a bit of background, but he, a lot of what happened was that my beliefs and understanding of the world were challenged at every corner.
Yeah.
I believed that things worked in a certain way. I believed that procedures would be followed. I believed that institutions would behave in a certain way, and there is no way that they would behave unethically, or
Hmm.
that I believed so certainly that these people in my life would support me and would be so happy for me, or that they love me unconditionally, that they would be there for me. In a very short time, everything I believed, every presumption that I took for granted or that I didn't challenge was challenged. A lot of
Whew.
illusions were shattered. Uh, Everything turned upside down. Things that I was certain would happen did not. Things I feared happening, all of them happened. Yeah, that's funny. I hadn't thought of that.
It,
Every.
that's kind of ironic that you're saying these like really painful hooks and saying it's funny.
Oh, wow, it was so. It was amazing. I had amazing. No, it really was amazing.
It sounds almost like dissociation if I didn't know you better.
No, I will get to that. It does sound like dissociation. I know it does. And for a long
But I
time,
know you.
I mean,
I know it's not. This is
but
not
I mean,
toxic
I
positivity.
keep
I
asking
know.
myself that am I wise or really, really stupid? Am
Sometimes it's
I,
hard to tell the difference.
yeah, am I like, is this grandeur, or do I not understand how much crap I'm actually inside of?
Sounds like the fuel for major transformation to me.
It was brilliant. But then here's the thing, after all of it happened in a very short amount of time, where the people, the institutes, the constructions, the structures that I believed in, uh, all of them ended up behaving differently than I expected. And I know that you and I have a bit of an engineering mindset of looking at things.
Yeah, yeah.
So you have a machine, you know it's gonna behave in a certain way, you give it feedback, you feed something into it, and you can kind of predict its behavior. So that didn't happen. I expected things to behave in a certain way, and they didn't. And then I got to learn so much about those systems' behaviors.
Love it. Love it.
That was nice. That was nice. I got a lot of data about how the systems operate. I I got to know a lot of things that I knew in theory. I got to meet in person. So I knew that people, more than seeing you, they see a reflection of themselves onto you.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I got to see that very up
That's
close and
interesting. I'm used to
personal.
thinking of that as like people are a mirror of me. You're looking at people seeing you as a mirror of them. That's an interesting
Yeah,
angle for that. So
yeah,
say I'm going to be asking. This is awesome setup. Now I'm going to want to like dive into what's, if you are okay with it, some specifics
yeah.
to help me understand. But it's like, but say that last one again. I think that's really really powerful.
I forgot.
That
What?
that you're a mirror for others.
Yes, people close to you, especially, more than they see you, they see a reflection of themselves in you.
That's quotable.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So, yeah, but what are you thinking? What are you curious about?
I'm just like that's. I want to capture that nugget in my memory. I'm writing it down because I'm not used to thinking that way. And that's going to give me powerful access to people's behaviors around me, especially when, in my case, I'm fearful of them. I'm not over that yet. I'm mostly over that. But I mean, like, I wanted to remember that. I don't want to distract from you, but I wanted to capture for
Yeah,
my
yeah,
own
big time.
selfish reasons that statement. So please don't let me interrupt any more than I have to.
Let me find examples. Major good news happened in my life. I told it to a lot of people. I had an extensive list. I wrote down like 50 names
Mm-hmm.
of relatives, family, friends, associates that I was like, I'm gonna meet each of them in person and honor our relationship and tell them that this is happening for me and I'm moving away because it's big news and I want to tell them in person and I want us to have that space and process it together. About five of those people are in my life today. And it was the most fascinating sociological, psychological study. I wish I had cameras and I could record those reactions. It was fascinating. It
Like
was
mixed
like
emotions type stuff, or
yeah, it was. I went around, it was like this. I went around telling every person in my life that I'm going away,
yeah,
that I'm immigrating, that I'm moving to a different country. It was as if I was telling them about news of my death because that is kind of what's happening. This relationship is ending. I was telling them that I'm no longer going to be in your life. And it's a good thing. So I was thinking it was actually a lot more accurate representation of what death news is supposed to be like. It's really happy. I mean,
oh,
like I'm moving away to a better place, and it's gonna be a lot of fun.
oh my god,
This is good
yeah.
for me. Be
It's
happy for
I,
her.
whoa,
Okay.
boy, that's a study. That's some because like I'm already feeling like you bring this news to me, and we've just met, just a few times. But if I found out that like you're like out, well, of course, like doesn't matter where you live, I'm still gonna be able to be in touch with you. But it hurts. There's
There you
like
go.
grief
Yeah.
immediately kicking in, and I'm like, I'm happy for you, and it hurts so bad, and I don't know how to manage that. It's like, good for you.
Thank you so much for bringing us an example
Oh,
of
Lord.
this fascinating study. I kept thinking, and it was, I didn't expect this to happen. After the couple of first people
Mm.
I told the news to, I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be fun. Yay.
Lord.
Um,
Wow.
I got to tell people that I'm no longer going to be in their lives in the way that I was.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
got to sit there and watch their reactions. I got to, this is sounding a little bit psychotic.
No,
Sorry.
it's sounding very human and very observational.
Yeah,
I
I'm
am
gonna
with
pretend
you,
to be
and
more
I'm riveted.
empathetic
Keep rolling. This is great.
now. Yeah, I saw that they loved me. I saw that they, but that it's so personal. I saw it's not about me. I saw how selfish people are. And I
Okay.
never mean selfish in a derogatory bad way.
Yeah,
I
I
saw
love
this
that
is the
distinction.
most yeah, this is the most highlighted thing that I saw, that when receiving that news, that person did not hear I'm moving away, that something is happening for Sarah. They heard I'm losing her.
They heard both, I will wager.
Yeah. But this is what I meant before, that people mostly see a reflection of themselves in you.
Okay.
So this news of major life change for me, the way they reacted to it was how it would affect them, which I then realized is exactly how I would react if a friend of mine was going away.
Well, I'm glad that you have the empathy.
Yeah, I completely understand it. It's exactly how I would have reacted. But it's
Yeah.
not, but again, selfishly, I didn't realize that this was going to impact other people in this way.
Well, that's a wake up call, isn't it?
It was. Yeah. It was a wild ride. I didn't expect
I
the
can imagine.
reaction to be in terms of them processing a form of losing me. And after being on the other side, I realized that this is exactly how I had behaved when major life changes happen for somebody who's in my life. Whether they move away, whether they get married, or whether they have kids. In whichever shape or form, major life change changes our relationship, takes away something that I have right now, that I like, that I'm used to. And you're moving on with your life, and it's beautiful. I'm happy for you, but you're taking something away from me.
Yeah. It's, yeah, I'm being touched by this already. So, and isn't that how so much of life is?
Yeah, yeah. And
Like
then
almost,
this kind
almost
of,
all of it.
yeah,
In it just scale. You just happen to
exactly.
demonstrate this on a grand scale,
Yeah,
which made it so much more clear. And I love, I love that this is having you reflect on how similar situations have been for you. It's like, oh, oh, I see what's happening. Oh my gosh, I've
yeah,
been there. Well, that'd be the empathy thing, wouldn't it? Right?
yeah,
Oh wow. Yeah, that is really, well, it's kind of in the reflection part, and seems to be that we got on the food poisoning post. That's what happened to me.
yeah,
And in my case, I mean, it's more obvious when it's a grand thing. Like you're like, I'm physically in pain for 4 days that I cannot relieve in my bed, moaning and wailing out loud, which I do not do hardly ever. And then that reminded me of exactly what my dad was doing when he was being like cleaned by the nurses in the last week of his life. And it's like, it sounded like him. And I'm like, wow, he was so helpless and frail and unable to defend himself. And I'm like, that's how I feel right now. And I'm like, then I projected that out. Okay, I'm going ahead a bit here, but I projected that out into like, that could be what the end of my life looks like. That could be what 10 years from now looks like. And I'm like, holy shit, no. I do not want that path. But it was because I was able to like tie these visceral physical experiences together along with, more subtle emotions, and, the feeling of helplessness is really, really, it's triggering to me. So much to the point where I have spent much of my life trying to control my entire environment to not feel that way, to my
yeah,
own detriment. And now I'm getting to learn that, there's a level of helplessness which is a lot, well, it's similar to surrender.
yeah,
There's just only so much I can do. So what you're talking about here, this is one of my graphic parallels, literally graphic apparently, but it's like, this is I'm feeling the internal machinery, to use engineering terms, going as you're processing not just the experience and the empathy and the, oh no, now my next interview I'm going to handle this maybe a little different than the previous one, but like, what's this really mean? What's this mean to them? What's this mean to me? What's this mean about me?
Yeah.
And that's a real gift to, especially, and not ageist or anything like that, but like to have somebody of your age have that level of awareness. I presume it's not that common, but maybe it's because I just don't get to have this level of conversation as often as I would like to have. But this is where the real work happens. And I
Yeah.
love that you're in it. I love that you already preface there's a happy ending of enlightenment that showed from that. So in the format of this conversation, we set up, we talk about what you're up to, we talk about what you've been through, and now you're in the midst of, okay, here's the thing. Here's like the flames at the bottom of the hero's journey. Um, so how is this impacting you? What's happening for you from this awareness? What's showing up for you from that?
Freedom.
Say more.
Um, you said that helplessness is a difficult position and triggering state for you to be in. It is probably one of the most difficult states to experience. And uh, the idea, the mechanics of it is that you feel like you have no control, and then you shift your mindset and understanding and the processing of it to surrender,
Mm-hmm.
which means you're in the same state, but you're taking control over your own experience. So the thing that you were suffering from was not having control. When you choose to surrender to conditions you cannot change, you gain a lot of control. So the narrative shifts from I'm stuck to I'm learning or I'm observing. You become an active participant in your own narrative and your own story. So that's kind of the the level of control you have shifts, and then it feels a lot better. And then it feels amazing. So that's kind of why the shift towards surrender works.
Yeah.
From on the outside, you're in the same place. And Tuesdays with Maury is pretty much about this very thing. Like the whole book is about this
Love that book.
single shift, yeah, of surrender. To a similar example that you made about physical inability. English is my second language, so I'm not always able to say exactly what I mean.
You're doing really, really well. There will be a time, I think we've already approached it in our previous discussions, where if we had switched to your native language, we would have gotten to topics more clearly because I don't have the language to describe some of the deep spiritual teachings that originated in your land.
Yeah,
Um, that's going to be another podcast because there will be more. There will be more.
it is.
I promise
Okay.
you. Unless you say no, there will be more. Um, so
Okay,
you
so
took
wait,
my lesson. Let's go to yours.
okay, so I was thinking about this, and it all kind of reflects each other. Uh, I started cosplaying as a ghost, as my own ghost. The game I was playing in my head was this: I'm going around telling people I'm gonna die and watching them react. And I was like, oh wow, this is so amazing! I get to know what people are gonna act in my funeral. Ah! Yay!
Sounds like something out of Huckleberry Finn.
Yeah, that's part of that was a part of the narrative that was going on. Uh, I realized that after a few days, I realized that it's not about them, it's about me. I'm not saying goodbye to people, I am first and foremost saying goodbye to my own old life.
Ah,
It's not about, yeah, it was about that also, but primarily I was saying goodbye to these people, departing with an older version of myself that I know that I'm no longer going to live. It's not just that I'm not going to be in their lives, but also they're not going to be in my life, and the version of me that exists through them no longer will be.
ooh, yeah.
And I was set free from many bonds. I I mourned a lot of them. There was a lot of grief. There was, and then ultimately there was a lot of freedom. It's okay. I'm not saying it's exactly the same, but I experienced something resembling that and I scaled it. It was a little bit kind of like losing a lot of things and then getting a blank canvas to
Okay, yeah.
rebuild
Uh huh. Well, a little bit.
a lot.
It sounded like that was a really, really good description of it. Isn't that what transformation is?
Yeah. So that was the most in that was the most in practice version of everything that I had learned or thought about, or when one relationship ended, I thought about it. It was like it was like a final exam for everything I had practiced or everything else I had learned in life. This was a real world version of experiencing all of the theory. It was like, okay, all of that was fun and games.
Oh
Had a
yeah,
little breakup here or there.
yeah. The lecture's over. This is the lab. This is the
Yeah.
practicum. Maybe the internship. I don't know. Use find whatever metaphor
Yeah,
works for
so
you. But
I was out there and like on my first real job
yeah.
with a, and now in a position where I have to use every tool, every single tool that I know of or don't, that I need to acquire, that I need to improvise. I was out there in the field in the most the highest stakes that I ever had before. But
Oh
I
yeah.
was, and it was the most liberating thing ever. And and also it was liberating in another sense of understanding a lot better how the real world works, how the world behaves independent of my expectations of it or my projections on it. I realized
Yeah.
that bad things actually do exist.
It. Some things, several things are coming to me. One is like knowledge is power. Um, but there's a difference from our idealizations,
Yeah.
which just out of necessity are simplifications and models of our observations, and then taking it out. That's the lecture versus lab. So now we come out and we experiment. Now we come out and we actually say, okay, I've got this theory. Let's go out and test it, voluntarily or not. And then you get to use like the observation. I have a curious if you're willing to take this on. Um, you have a postulation, you have an experiment, and then you have an observation for the experiment, and then you have a conclusion from that. Could you phrase this experience using that level of detachment? Would you be willing to give that a shot?
I'm not seeing it clearly enough to be able to phrase it.
Okay,
So
well
maybe you can
that's
help
okay. And
me.
it's a well. Let's see if we can put this together mutually.
Yeah.
So you had what you expected the world to look like. Can you phrase what one version? Let's just take one because there's a lot here, right? There's a lot of sociology here. But what's one version of how you, prior to this experience, you expected the world to behave? You expected the world to react to your news by being happy for you, for example. Maybe that'd be
Yes.
one. I'm not sure if that's where you're
Yeah.
coming from. Okay, that was your expectation. I present
Yeah.
news.
I expected
People,
uh, people to congratulate me, be happy for me, and then we figure out how we're gonna stay connected. Or
okay,
and
so
like a
you
little
expect,
bit be like, oh, I'm so sad, I'm gonna miss you. And it was a
okay,
lot more violent.
so it's interesting that a lot of this was you realizing that other people actually have feelings, um, and and have their own reaction, and you're sorry, I didn't mean to be brutal about it, but and so you're
That's
coming from
true.
this basically.
I'm sorry. Okay, other people, okay, a lot of people might find this mundane, but this was huge news to me.
Well, the thing is, what's interesting to me about this, and I may just completely depart from my question. It's okay. I mean, I have ADHD. This happens. Um, what's interesting is that you were going out into the world expecting that people were going to get you. And in the process, you learned that other people basically have that experience, and you're watching it by like seeing their reaction and saying, wow, you're doing this thing. You're making it all about you when you were doing the exact same thing to begin with. And I find that hilarious. Some people call
It
that
is, it's
hypocrisy.
so
I
funny.
call that being human.
It is hilarious.
It is a riot in retrospect.
Yes, and then oh my god, and I was like, oh my god, you're doing exactly what I'm doing.
Yes, isn't that
Yeah,
amazing? It's a wonderful learning tool, and my God, it hurts in the moment.
yeah. It was so funny. It was a whole thing.
I love that you can laugh at it, which I believe this is just coming to me right now. That means you're in observer mindset if you can laugh,
Yeah.
which is a really interesting tool that I want to remember for later. So I noted it. There's a lot of. I'm gonna have to go through this whole thing. There's so many lessons in this talk.
Yeah, I'm basically watching a sitcom all the time
Yeah, and
while acting in it.
exactly. And the thing is, like, there's still pain and lessons and life and all the feelings on the emotion wheel. You're just like on the periphery of like living, which means it hurts and it's joyful and it's sad and it's got longing and resentment. And it's got like all the things. And so, like, as this is actually kind of like a good way to start pulling this together, but welcome to humanity. You just leveled yourself up in the video game of life on a grand scale. Yeah, I realized I just pulled this back to video games. This is sweet. So you just leveled us up on a grand scale for you, that you've like passed this test of awareness. And then the gift of that, the like token that the monkey hands you or whatever, is freedom.
Yeah.
And then you get to take that token into the next level. That's your entry key
Yeah.
to, guess what, more of the same.
Yes.
And I love that you can smile about that. I really, really do. It's inspiring to me to be with another spirit that has this zest for life and
Oh,
all
it's so
of
much
life,
fun.
not just like the happy, joyful,
Oh
rainbows
no,
and
it's so
unicorns life.
colorful. You need all the colors.
You do need all the colors, and some of those colors hurt, but that's okay. Oh, I thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
My heart is full.
I'm honored. This is
As
fun.
am I. I really appreciate that. Is there any summation that you'd like to wrap that up with, or did we just do
Yes,
that?
as you were talking, it's just another thing popped up. Uh, so the token that the monkey handed me at the end of the level was freedom in my sense of self and in my relationships. And then I just noticed that after having that freedom, after the is I'm able to love a lot more beautifully. I am
Oh,
I'm loving people for real now. It gives a it's a yeah, it's a very new different experience of love. It's a very detoxed version of it now. It's present, it's in the
wow.
moment. It's it's a lot cleaner.
It's cleaner by embracing the messiness.
Yes, it is.
There's an authenticity.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, not to get us to a whole other realm, which really is the bridge to another episode, but to me, that's what Weird LinkedIn did.
Yes. That's I wanted to go there. I wanted you to go there. I wanted to go there.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's take this and say this will be the bridge. This is the token. We just earned this. We can then book another time. We'll do another one. We'll start there. Okay?
That would be lovely. I'm so glad it
I
worked.
it it, life
Yes.
just does. Life just works, and you demonstrate this so beautifully. My God, I looked forward to this so much, and there's no way I could have anticipated what it was actually going to be. It's far surpassed what I thought was going to happen. So thank you, my friend. Thank you so
Cheers.
much.
Thank you. Thank you. I
It
had a lot of
it
fun.
has been absolutely a blast. Well, we'll go
Yes.
ahead and close now. But bye,
Let
and
us.
what? Hang on. But I'm just going to stop recording.